So today I want us to cover the immune system. Have you ever heard of the immune system? We've heard of something like immunity. Yes. The immune system is it's also the first line of defense. Our bodies are exposed to environmental agents that can cause harm every single day. Yeah. Many of us, for example, might inhale TB in a crowded room, but you won't know that you have TB. You won't have the symptoms of TB. Why? Because the immune system contains the bacteria. That's why maybe when it's cold season, it's flu season, yeah, we find that one person has a cold and it spreads everywhere because of our the immune system the immune system is attacked by the virus that causes cold. So we'll just have an introduction of the immune system. It's very complex. I think it's one of the most complex systems. People are always studying about it, but we'll just have a brief introduction. And then after that, we can see the things that we can do to boost our immune systems so that we don't end up those people who there's no flu season that can pass you. How many of us have that problem? If there's a cold, it can't pass you. We have to be affected. How many people won't raise their hands? Yeah? Or something so small makes us so sick because maybe our immune system is not as strong as it should be. So I'll start by going through the immune system in a nutshell. The first, when a pathogen or a bacteria or a germ or a virus comes in contact with our body, the first barrier is our skin. So the skin is actually a part of the immune system, such that if let's say you have a cut maybe on your leg and you go maybe wade in water or walk around in water, you can actually get an infection. Why? Because the first barrier is broken. And not just the skin, but also the linings of maybe like the lining of the eye. The eye has something to protect it. The nose, the mouth, the ear, everything has a barrier to protect against infection. That's the first line of defense. After that, we go to now the more complex systems that are found in the blood. Have you ever heard of white blood cells? The white blood cells, their main function is actually to fight infection. And there are many, many types of white blood cells. There are about 4 or 5 types, which are further subdivided into many other types, but we won't go through all that. But each pathogen, each bacteria, is fought by a specific part of the immune system. So what normally happens, if let's say we get a bacteria in the blood, the body is very smart. The first thing, there are some cells. We know what a cell is. We know what a cell is, yeah? A cell is like the basic unit of life, yeah? So there are some, let me call them soldiers, yeah? Their work is to walk around the system and looking for any pathogens or bacteria or viruses. Pathogens are bacteria and viruses. So their work is to survey, like the way a policeman, his work is to walk around looking for thieves. That's their work. Their work is to walk around and look for any germs that might be harmful to the body. So once they find that there's something that can be harmful to the body, what they do, they capture whatever it is and they take it to another cell, to the white blood cell, that can actually destroy that pathogen. Should I repeat? Okay. So now there are some cells whose work is to walk around looking for the pathogens that can cause diseases. And I've said pathogens are bacteria and viruses. So they just march all around the body looking for all those things. Once they find, their work is to take that pathogen, the bacteria or the virus, to another cell which will actually kill the bacteria or the virus. That's how the immune system should work. And of note is some of those cells are also responsible for looking around for cancer cells. So a strong immunity can actually prevent some cancers if we boost our immunity. We're together so far? Okay. So now what happened? These are very many things, Then there are also some chemicals known as hormones, which actually enhance the activity of the cells involved in the immunity. What does that mean? There are some hormones that, when released, they make those cells that go around the watchman. Let me call them watchmen so that we remember. It makes the watchmen more active, and they can also make those that kill the bacteria more active. So the immune system is also affected by hormones and other chemicals in our body. The others are very complicated, but I think that's a nice way of putting it in a nutshell. Therefore, in summary, what I've just said, hormones affect the immune system, and those cells, the activity of those cells, which are policemen, affects the immune system. What does that mean? Sometimes there are some things we eat, there are some activities, there are some things that we do that make those cells less active. Are we together? There are some foods that we may eat that actually depress the activity of the watchman. And that's why the bacteria goes and now causes disease. Because every disease, many diseases start with a bacteria or a virus. Then it becomes a big infection. Yeah? So sometimes there are some things that we do that can actually depress the activity of the watchman. And in contrast, there are also some things we do that can enhance the activity of the watchman. So it's important for us to always remember that whenever we are thinking of our immune system. We've all heard of things that boost immunity. So we've heard of those, or foods that boost immunity. What they do, they make those cells more active. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, we can go to the next slide again, the next one. So there are some things that have been studied for years and have been found to boost our immune system on their own. And these are the ones we'll discuss. The first thing is resting. If any of you have ever done a project or work in a job where you have to sleep very few hours, you'll realize that it's very easy to get sick. Why? Because the immune system is actually depressed. The immune system is most active when we're asleep. That's when most of the surveillance is done. That's the time the watchmen are most active. So it's important for us to make sure that we get adequate sleep. And how much sleep should we get in a day? 6 to 8 hours, yes. 6 is on the lower side. If you can make 7, it's just that Nairobi life is difficult, yeah. But if we can, 6 to 8 hours is also good. And it's also been found that having naps in the middle of the day, we know what a nap is, like sleeping for a short time, maybe 20 to 30 minutes, can actually improve the general restfulness of the body. If for example, you get to sleep 4 hours a night, you can have a few naps to boost the rest levels of your body. And another thing about rest is that rest, I think we'll cover it later, but you know, rest is not just physical rest. There are actually 4 types of rest. And that's one thing that we don't know, many of us. Yeah, there's physical rest, there's also emotional rest, there's spiritual rest, and there's mental rest. And if you rest, if you neglect any of those aspects, we actually find that you're not rested. For example, some of us are lucky enough to sleep 10 hours, but you wake up tired. Or you sleep those 8 hours, but you're just tired in the morning. Why? Because maybe you're not resting in terms of you're not resting spiritually. And that's why the Sabbath is so important, yeah? It's important for us to connect to God. And it's been studied and proven everywhere that even though you're worshiping any God, as long as there's those who have a relationship with a higher being are generally healthier because of that connection. And we are lucky enough to know the true God. So it's actually a blessing that God gives us that spiritual rest. The other one was mental rest. Many of us are resting, but you're not resting in our minds. You just go to sleep. That's when everything comes. Yeah, you remember the job how you didn't finish, I don't know what, how your children are sick or they are stressed or school fees, all that can actually impede the restfulness of the body. You know, there are two types of sleep. There's one sleep that is shallow, another sleep that is very deep. And the recommended sleep is the deep sleep. But what happens when we sleep, we have, maybe for an hour, it's the shallow sleep, then the deep, then the shallow, then the deep, like that. And those who don't rest mentally, those who have a lot of things going on in their minds, actually have a very shallow sleep. And that's why you can sleep 6 hours, 7 hours, and you wake up and you're still feeling tired. It's because at the back of your mind, there's something that has not been dealt with. Yeah? And during exams, for example, for those who can sleep 6 to 8 hours, you wake up and you're still so tired and stressed. Why? Because you're still thinking of, oh, I've not read that, I've not done this, I've not covered that. So it's important to rest completely. The other one is social rest. I had said emotional, but it's actually more appropriately called social rest. Yeah? Social rest is socializing. We are social beings. Yeah? It's important, no matter how we are made. You know, some of us are more social than others. Yeah? But even those who are less social, it's important to just have a connection with someone. Let's nurture friendships, and I think that's also there. You should nurture friendships, care about others. All those things actually boost our immunity, by the way. And it's been studied and proven. That's why it's important for us to always reach out and reach out to other people. Okay. A second thing is exercise. Exercise boosts our immunity in many ways, and we're going to discuss it in further slides. Maintaining healthy weight. It's been found that fat cells release chemicals that actually reduce immunity. So as much as we can, we should make sure that we maintain healthy weight, because it can actually be, being overweight can actually have a negative influence on our immunity. Managing stress, which is something we'll also discuss, but maybe I can discuss a bit of it. When we are stressed, we release some chemicals in our body. Cindy, are we together? Yeah, today everyone looks so tired. Anyway, when we are stressed, we release some chemicals in our bodies. And those chemicals actually reduce the activity of the watchman. That's why when you're stressed, have you ever seen how, for example, when people are reading for exams, you get many colds, and then some people even get pimples on their face because of that stress. Immunity has been compromised with. So it's important for us to manage stress. Managing stress does not mean eliminating stress. We live in a real world with real issues, and to eliminate stress might not work, but we can manage stress. Managing stress means that we make sure that stress does not alter our activity, it doesn't affect us so much. Also, embracing a healthy diet has been found to improve immunity, and we'll actually go through some of the foods that can actually boost our immunity. And the last one is to nurture relationships. As I had said earlier, it's important to reach out. If you're someone who is blessed with the confidence to have many friends, have many friends. And real friends, you know, these days, many people are not real friends, yeah? It's important to have real friends who you can talk to, confide in. People who can be, you know, your rock. Not those people of laughing, and then you still go home with your issues. It's important for us to nurture friendships. And as hard as it may be, because we are very busy these days, but it's good to nurture relationships, friendships, even with our families, just nurture that relationship. It can actually improve our immunity, among other benefits, yeah? But it also reduces stress. You know, it cuts across. So it's important to have those relationships. We've talked about the 4 types of rest, and it's important for us to rest as a whole. Can go to the next slide. Okay, so now we go to exercise. Exercise is so important to our immune system because, one, it reduces the release of stress hormones, which impair immune function. What does that mean? As I had said when we were introducing, we said that there are some chemicals that can reduce the activity of the cells that are watchmen in our body. Yeah? So when we exercise, it reduces that release of those chemicals. And those chemicals are increased when we are stressed. That's why when we are stressed, we have an impaired immune system. So it reduces that release. And actually, it releases hormones that improve the immune system. Those hormones, they're called endorphins. They're good hormones. They make you feel nice, yeah? Those ones actually improve our immunity. The next benefit of exercise, it causes the body's defense cells to circulate more rapidly. We had said that they are watchmen, Cindy. It causes those watchmen to work, to be more active. Yeah? Many of us live in homes where there's a watchman, and we know that there are some good watchmen and bad watchmen. Cindy, there are some watchmen who will come and will sleep the whole night. Yeah? You come, you hoot, hoot, they're not there. They're asleep. Yeah? But then there are some good watchmen who are very alert. Even if something is fishy somewhere, they'll be the first ones to see. They'll be the first ones to see, hey, who's that person walking around somewhere. Yeah? So it's the same with the body. Not all the watchmen are good watchmen. Some watchmen are, how do I say it? We can choose, we can influence the type of watchmen we have by things like exercising, such that even if a pathogen just comes, that virus for the cold just enters the body, it's already been captured, Araka, and killed, and killed, as opposed to having a lazy immune system, which is just there, it will come, it will just, it won't even recognize it. So it's important for us to exercise to increase that circulation of those defense cells. And as I said, it increases the activity. So it increases their circulation and their activity. When they're circulating more, they're able to see where all those pathogens are hiding. And mind you, some pathogens are very good at hiding, some bacteria. For example, the bacteria that causes tuberculosis, TB, yeah, it can hide in our bodies for years. When we were in school, there's someone who did a research on how many students have TB in their bodies. And it was like almost 30-something%. I think it was between 35 and 38% actually had TB in their bodies. Because you see in the wards, the patients just cough without, some patients, not all, some patients just cough without covering their mouths. And that's how TB is inhaled. TB just goes in the air and goes into your system. And it was found that 35 to 38% actually have TB. But the immune system had contained the bacteria. So it's important for us to always make sure immunity is good, can actually help us and prevent diseases. So there are some foods that have been known to boost immunity. As I said, fruits, vegetables, always, in case we can't remember all this whole list, yeah, fruits and vegetables always boost immunity. But there are some that are very specific for the immune system. And you can actually try them in case you have these ailments that are not so big. For example, if you have a cold, instead of rushing to take Flugon or Cetirizine, you can actually try these. And for those who've tried, can actually testify and say that these foods actually help. Yeah? The first food that can boost immunity is onions. Onions that are raw. And as I said, if you think about eating a whole onion, you'll be like, hey, I can't eat an onion, seriously. Yeah? But there are so many ways of incorporating onions into our diet. You can make a nice salad, put onions there, and mix with other things like tomatoes and, make a kachumbari. That's still onions, India. Yeah, I don't have to think about eating onions like, hey, you go and just cut it into half and eat. No. There's a nice way you can cut it up and present it. Garlic also boosts immunity. The problem with garlic for most people is the smell. Yeah. And I know that question will be asked. And Garlic is good for immunity. It's actually one of the best foods for immunity. The thing about garlic is it's difficult to get rid of that smell. If anyone has ever had that smell, it's almost impossible. Young people even walk around in the office and they ask, is there someone cooking? Because it's very pungent. It's a very pungent smell. But what you can do is to avoid garlic breath, maybe you can use a mouthwash or brush your teeth more frequently to reduce that smell. But the problem is from the body. Oh, and also lemon. Yeah, someone has reminded me. Can also use lemon. Yes. Yeah, actually. It can actually reduce that garlic breath. And even that odor, it's okay. It's not so bad, but if you use lemon, it can actually neutralize the smell. Then the next one is ginger. We know ginger. What is it called in Kiswahili? Tangawizi, sindio? Tangawizi can be added to so many foods, yeah? It can be added to drinks, like maybe if you're taking, I don't know, does soya go with tangawizi? It does? Okay, I've never tried that, yeah? It can be added to even hot water and tangawizi. It can be added to food, yeah? So it's not about, the best way to approach these foods is not to think of it as a whole tangawizi or a whole onion. How about cutting things up and mixing them and incorporating them into our other foods? Another one is turmeric, and not the commercial turmeric, the original turmeric. The commercial turmeric many times is just yellow with a little of the flavor. If you can go, I think in Gara, you can actually find the turmeric that is original. And not just in Gara, I'm sure there are places everywhere, because these days people are more aware of their health. So you can find out where can we get something like turmeric. Add it to food. If you are able to stomach it, you can even take it the way it is. It's just that many people can't stomach it. Some people also get diarrhea, vomiting when they take turmeric on its own. But if not, you can actually add it to food. Oats, do you know what oats are? We know oats. Everyone is. This side, do you know oats? Yeah, they're found in supermarkets, cereal shops. Oats actually boost our immunity. And oats are also a very rich source of fiber, and they also release, remember what you were saying, that it's better to take a food that releases glucose slowly. Oats are one of those foods. So you find that you just take oats, but they have benefits that are cut across, not just immunity, but also in terms of our digestive system, in terms of our brains and all that. And yeah, by the way, it also reduces cholesterol. Yes, that's very true. Okay, another food that boosts immunity is sweet potatoes, which we often overlook. Sweet potatoes are very available. Yeah? I'm sure even if I go to the person selling fruit nearby, there are sweet potatoes. But many of us don't think about it. And they're not expensive and they're tasty. But I don't know, I think it's a culture that we need to embrace. Sweet potatoes are very healthy. They have so many foods. Sweet potatoes are good for skin, good for the digestive system, good for our immune system. Even in the central nervous system, it was there. Good for our eyes. Sweet potatoes there are some foods that are called superfoods. Superfoods are foods that are very nutritious. And sweet potato is one of them. So the next time, instead of taking maybe bread in the morning, you can be taking sweet potato sometimes. You see, you can carry sweet potato to work and snack on it instead of snacking on biscuits. There are very practical ways of incorporating these foods. The other one is avocado. Avocado boosts immunity because avocado is also another very good food. Yeah, it has the good fat that we should have. It has fiber. It has good cholesterol, and it also boosts immunity. Another one is green leafy vegetables. I've put there lettuce, kale is sukuma wiki, and spinach. They also boost our immune system. So, so far we've seen that all these green fruits, green vegetables are everywhere. That's why it's important for us to try as much as we can to always put them in our diet somewhere. You know, even if we're taking maybe beans and rice, you can put some skuma somewhere. If you're taking something, we can always put those green leafy vegetables. The other one is citrus fruits. Citrus fruits are fruits that are rich in vitamin C. And they include oranges, lemons, tangerine. Those, so you know those fruits, yeah? Yeah, the ones, yeah, grapefruit. They are fruits that have a lot of vitamin C. Yeah, and maybe for your homework, you can actually go and look up fruits that have a lot of vitamin C. They boost our immunity. And also, for those who've undergone maybe surgery or have had an accident and they're in the healing process, it's important for them to also have a lot of vitamin C because it helps in healing the body. Yeah, because there are some chemicals that are manufactured when we are healing the body. So these vitamin C compounds help those chemicals help in the manufacture of those chemicals. So we actually end up healing faster and better. Can go to the next slide. Yes. And in terms of nurturing relationships, we saw that it's one of the things that boosts our immunity. It's important for us not to bottle up emotions. Bottling up emotions is kujiekea ndani, to put it in Kiswahili. Yeah? You have problems, but you just hide them inside, and you don't want to share them. You don't want to tell anyone about it. It's important for us to have someone who we can share with, who we can actually talk to about what we go through in our lives. Yeah, I'm about to use bad English. About what we go through in our lives, because life is stressful. That's a fact. Yeah, but we don't have to go through that stress alone. It's important to find someone we can confide in, and we should also not be pessimistic. Some of us are very pessimistic. Pessimistic is always negative. Yeah, always thinking of the worst case scenario. Always worried about tomorrow. And that's where spiritual rest comes in. Because God tells us that we can go to Him and He will give us rest. Yeah? When we have God, we shouldn't be pessimistic because He has already told us to rest and He will take care of us. So it's important for us to always be optimistic, always think of the good happening to us. If bad happens, God will help us deal with it. Sindio? And our systems will, and if we can trust God. If we trust God, it can actually help us not be so pessimistic. We should also smile more. How many of us like smiling? Listen, very few people. How many of us don't like smiling? Many of us, you can even go a whole day without smiling. And a real smile, not that those smiles for smiling, in public, you have to be happy, look happy, but you all need to learn how to smile. Not learn how to smile really, but learn to smile more. Yeah, because smiling actually releases good hormones that boost our immunity. I know some of us are not very smiley, but we can actually try. Yeah, if something is funny, see it, you kaza. Some of us are very hard to make. You can't make them laugh. Yeah, if something is funny, something is interesting, smile. It actually boosts our immunity. I think that's okay. We should not abuse antibiotics. How many of us do this? Me, I'm guilty. Sometimes I don't finish antibiotics. Yeah? But it's so dangerous to abuse antibiotics, especially those ones which you're told to take 4 times a day. See, there's some that you're told to take 4 times. So now, that means waking up at night to take antibiotics. It's very tricky. Yeah? But as much as we can, we need to always complete our doses of antibiotics. What normally happens, many of us stop taking because it takes, after 1 or 2 days, si nimepona. Yeah, so I don't need to continue taking antibiotics. But to try and explain how antibiotics work, let's say there are 20,000 bacteria in our body that are causing the disease. Let's say you have a sore throat. So 20,000 bacteria have caused the sore throat. So we take antibiotics the first day. It kills off some of the bacteria. So maybe they remain. I'm making it easy that we understand. It doesn't work that simply, but it's an analogy. That's how it works. So maybe we'll kill maybe 5,000. You're left with 15,000 bacteria. You take the second day, it kills 3,000. You're left with 12,000. Those 12,000 bacteria are too few to cause disease in terms of to cause symptoms, such that they are there, but you won't have your sore throat. Your sore throat will be better. You'll be feeling like, at least sasa nimepona pona, so wacha niache kuchukua dawa. But don't remember the bacteria are not fully eliminated. They are still in the body. That's why some people get sore throat so many times. Inaisha, kidogo, another one comes, because those bacteria continue multiplying in the body, and they now cause disease later. So it's important for us to finish antibiotics. If you're told to take for 5 days, complete the 5 days. After the 5 days, now all the bacteria have been eliminated, as opposed to taking them in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. And these days, antibiotics are very good antibiotics, which you can take once a day. It's just trying to remember. If you know you're sick, just finish the antibiotics that you've been given. And mind you also, when it gets to a point where the bacteria become resistant, resistance means that if, let's say, you used to take amoxil and it used to make your sore throat go away, the next time you might have to take a stronger antibiotic. Stronger antibiotics have their own stronger side effects. They work better, but they have stronger side effects. And they're more expensive. Amoxil is how much you can get for 90 bob, yeah? But if amoxil fails, you have to go to drugs that are 300-400. Some are even 700. Yeah? So instead of having to have an infection that is always recurrent, let's have the habit of finishing our antibiotics. I wanted to talk a bit about HIV because HIV affects immunity. And there's a lot to speak about HIV, but for any of us who are infected or know someone who has HIV, it's important for us to always take ARVs and to take them well, because those actually boost immunity. And these days, the ARVs that are available, they've actually seen someone in the West, is it someone? Actually, a group of people. They've done some studies and they've shown that ARVs can prolong life to the point of you can have HIV and live a very normal life because of ARVs. There's a study that actually suggests that it can protect, you can live up to 52 years with the disease, or even more. So for those who are infected or know someone who is infected, let's always take our ARVs and encourage, if you know someone who is affected, encourage them to make sure they take their ARVs, make sure they have very healthy diets. And all those infections that come with which are associated with HIV will be prevented. Yeah? Those who take drugs regularly can testify that they rarely have to have those bad infections. Yeah? But if we skip drugs and all that, can actually lead to, it can actually make things worse. Okay, I think I'm done. 5 minutes for questions. Do you have any questions today? Okay.
My question is about rest. You mentioned that we should do between 6 and 8 hours. And I'm thinking about someone who is working in town and living in Rongai. It's actually not practical to do even 5 hours of sleep. So maybe you can tell us something about, if you, let's say, for example, you're a nurse, is there a way you can make up for your sleep?
Okay. The thing about our bodies is that our body adapts to what we expose it to. The only problem is that we'll get sick. For example, if you're used to sleeping 4 hours, you'll get to a point where your body is used to 4 hours. Sindio? And it's okay with that 4 hours. But what I was suggesting was, since you still have a 2-hour deficit, the best way to make up for it is to try and nap during the day. The only problem is I don't know how practical that is. Yeah, because you can't go to the office and you're napping there. Yeah, I'm taking my 6 hours of sleep. Yeah, but I don't know. As much as we can, let's try. It's difficult to make up for it because even when maybe we say over the weekend we'll sleep the whole day, it still doesn't make up for it. It's not a mathematical rest. It's not a mathematical thing. What maybe I can suggest is that we can do other things to boost our immunity. If you're not able to make the 6 to 8 hours, maybe we can try and exercise. Although now exercise takes time also. Yeah, we can try to do something else, eat better, such that it kind of compensates for the lack of sleep. Yeah, but unfortunately, it's important for us to make sure that we rest that 6 hours. It's difficult to make up for it in another way. Okay, that's a very controversial thing. Some people say that, and I've actually read up something like that. But what happens is that, okay, it's not as good as no sleep. It's just that it won't be as restful as sleep that starts earlier. Because the body repairs itself maximum between midnight and 3 a.m. That's the time the body should go into a very deep sleep to repair itself maximum. So the earlier you sleep, the earlier you get to the deep phase of sleep. So we said that there's the shallow sleep and the deep sleep. Yeah, it normally starts shallow, then deep, then shallow, then deep. So the earlier you sleep, the better it is for you because gets into the deep part of sleep, which is where most of the repair takes place. So there are the things that are studied and there are the things that are real. Some of us can't sleep before 10 p.m. Let's say if you have children, maybe if you go to school and class ends at 9, it's not possible. But those who can, the earlier you sleep, the better. The earlier it is, the better. Okay, any other question? They're far. Someone can go with the mic.
I want to ask about the family planning. Does it affect the immunity?
Okay. So I can ask all the questions, then I can answer all of them. Okay, the next question.
Okay, when we read health books, they say that onions have acids. And you've told us that we should take onion the way it is, yeah, in salads, let's say. Mm-hmm. And others suggest that we are supposed to steam it a bit so that the acid can go down. Can you help me understand this because it is contradicting me?
Okay. So, next question.
Okay, thank you. My question is about allergies. I would like to know if allergies fall under the lower immunity, and if it does, how do we manage it without use of antihistamines, frequent use of antihistamine drugs?
Okay. So any other questions? I think we can only answer those today. So, there's one.
Is there an alternative for antibiotics in nature?
So, okay. So we'll start with family planning and immunity. I didn't want to discuss family planning because it's one of the most controversial things to talk about, yeah? Because it has its dangers, but it's necessary. Yeah, okay. I don't have children, but it's difficult to manage like 5 or 6 children just because of family planning. So family planning methods are very many, yeah? And as much as we can, we should try and avoid those hormonal family planning methods because they actually have effects on the body. The only problem is they're the most effective. sometimes. So it depends on your body. Some people are more affected. The family planning affects individuals very differently. So some people can be okay with a particular method and they're used to it. But the hormonal methods, if we are going to use them, they actually do reduce immunity, but not by such a high, how do I put it? It doesn't reduce it so much to the point where we need to stop family planning because of immunity. But family planning has other effects, leave alone immunity. So it's important, as much as possible, to be followed up by a gynecologist when you're using family planning. They can do some tests to see if that family planning method is good for you. Many of us take family planning from chemists, and we don't really go to a doctor to see how it should be done. But the best method is to go to a gynecologist. Gynecologists are the doctors who deal with women. And you see, if this method is not taking you well, which other methods are available and which ones are better. And they do tests so that these things can be detected early. If it's causing hormonal imbalance, it can be detected early, then they change to another method. Because for some people, it doesn't affect them well. But yeah, if you can avoid hormonal methods, the better. Yes, onions have a lot of acid. They do have a lot of acid, and if someone has intolerance to acid, it's important to prepare it well. You can steam. You can also soak in salty water. Salty water removes that sting. See, even when you taste the onion, it won't have that very sharp taste. It will actually just be, it will have taste, but it won't be very, it won't leave a lot of, it won't affect your breath. Yeah? So if you're preparing onions, it's important to prepare them well. And that's why there are some books that I saw there yesterday. These things are just a blanket. It's important to now know, okay, if I'm going to take broccoli, should I fry it? Should I roast it? Should I bake it? It's important to get all that information. This is just an introduction. But if anyone is interested, there are so many books outside there that can actually show you how to prepare all those foods. Yeah? Even garlic, there's a way to prepare it and it won't be so acute. It won't really affect breath and all that. So yes, it's important to steam or soak it in salty water. Allergies. Allergies are part of the immune system, but they're not affected. Okay, it's part of the immune system, but a different part of the immune system, such that you can't say that because you have allergies, it means that your immunity is low. Most of the time, allergies are inherited. Some of us have had allergies since we were born, and it just continues. Others acquire allergies when we get older. So the thing about how to manage allergies, the first thing is to avoid the cause. If you know you're allergic to maybe cold, don't go outside without a sweater. Always stay warm. If you know that maybe there's something that triggers, maybe some people it's dust, some people it's maybe pollen from maize and all that, avoid them as much as possible. For those who avoid and the allergies are still there, I know many people have to take antihistamines to reduce that allergy burden. But what you can do, all those things that boost immunity have been found to make allergies better, especially the food part. Even exercise, it's been found to make allergies better. They don't know exactly how, but it's just been found to make everything better. So as long as we eat the right foods, especially things like onions and garlic, they make allergies better. They might not eliminate the allergy completely, but it makes it less troublesome. And the last question, alternative for antibiotics. Actually, antibiotics are from nature. Yeah? Most of the antibiotics, like amoxicillin, they are from nature. The only problem is if there are alternatives, yes, for antibiotics, but do we know those sources? That's the thing. Because by the time an antibiotic is manufactured, they've studied, they've found out, okay, this deals with this deals with this. So if you want to go the natural way to avoid the commercial antibiotics, you need to know what cures what. And that can be tricky because you don't know which bacteria in particular has caused an infection. There are millions and millions of bacteria. So it's better to take an antibiotic that has been manufactured and they have known that this antibiotic will cure most of the bacteria that cause a disease. For example, we all know amoxil. Sindio? Amoxil, you'll be given for a throat infection, but you'll be given amoxil for infection of the urinary tract. Why? Because amoxil has been found to kill most of the bacteria that cause diseases in the throat. Sindio? But it's not so effective for the bacteria that cause diseases in the urinary tract. The urinary tract is the bladder, the kidneys, and all that. Yeah. So it's better to, unless you have that time and you know all those what are they called? All the compounds. It's better to just take the antibiotics because antibiotics are specific for specific infections, which are different for different regions. I think that's all. I'm even late. Tomorrow we'll discuss the musculoskeletal system. That's the bones and the muscles. We'll discuss arthritis. I know many people are affected by arthritis, and arthritis is becoming more common in people who are very young. So it's important for us to know how to prevent all the musculoskeletal diseases.